Live streaming is on.
Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulties here. I don't know if anybody can hear me. We're having trouble with this, getting this live stream going here. Can anybody hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up if you hear me? Okay, somebody can hear me. That's good. Are you seeing anything? It looks to me like are you seeing anything? I got your thumbs up. Okay, I got you to hear me. Are you seeing anything? in the live stream? Trying to get this live stream going, but it doesn't seem. Okay, so you are seeing it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and proceed. I guess it's not showing up on my end of it here or something. Okay. Okay, so we left off at check out my other videos. So we're going to go ahead and proceed. This is Article 37 of the Libra Code. This is all thanks to bar members. This video is again about bar members, attorneys. Bar members are Satanists. This is Article 37 of the Libra Code. This rule does not interfere with the right of the victorious invader to tax the people or their property, to levy forced loans, to billet soldiers, or to appropriate property, especially houses, lands, boats, or ships and churches for temporary and military uses. So this is all thanks to the bar members. Good. Thanks for the feedback, everybody. Appreciate it. Hopefully this view will improve. Anyways, we'll keep moving. Cryptocurrency is not a forced loan. Anything can be used as a medium of exchange as long as we agree to it. It's called barter. Gold and silver coins really barter. My contact information is my blog is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. My website is sovereigntyinternational.fyi. My email address is engineerwin@yahoo.com. My YouTube profile is Sovereign Living. My Facebook community page is deleted due to censorship on the part of Facebook. I deleted it. My private group called on Facebook is in the process of being deleted. It takes time to delete, 17,000 people off your group on Facebook. And I haven't even been on Facebook in months. Anyways, I've got a Yahoo private. Actually, it's not a Yahoo private group. It's a free list. Yahoo deleted their groups. It's a free list group. Freelist.org, called Administrating Your Public Servants. My Google private group, Administrating Your Public Servants. Follow me at Twitter at Engineer Win. Of course, Twitter has taken down my profile, so I guess I'll take that off of there. Follow me on Steemit. I've got a library channel. It's now Odyssey. Library's changed its name to Odyssey. My Patreon is Sovereignty International, and I've got a MeWe group that is there. Congress converted citizenship into the opposite of what the founders intended for the purpose of enslaving everybody. This is Colgate versus Harvey, U.S. Supreme Court, and while the 14th Amendment does not create a national citizenship, it has the effect of making that citizenship paramount and dominant instead of derivative and dependent upon state citizenship. So think about it. They turned it into the opposite of what the founding fathers intended. They intended that the national citizenship be derivative and dependent upon state citizenship. That was the way it was intended. The 14th Amendment made it paramount and dominant, all under martial law, thanks to the bar members. The term resident and citizen of the United States is distinguished from a citizen of one of the states, several states, in that the former is a special class of citizen created by Congress. Citizenship is a political status and may be defined and privilege limited by Congress. That's U.S. citizen, slave. Every taxpayer is assessed a trust having sufficient interest in preventing the abuse of the trust to be recognized in the field of this court's prerogative jurisdiction. That's a summary from Henry Boland's. Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. Sad will be the day when the American people forget their traditions and their history and no longer remember that the country they love, the institutions they cherish, and the freedom they hope to preserve were born from the throes of an armed resistance to tyranny and nursed in the rugged arms of fearless men. Well said. Slater's protestations to the effect that he derives no benefit from the United States government have no bearing on his legal obligations to pay income tax. Unless the defendant can establish that he's not a citizen of the United States, the IRS possesses authority to attempt to determine his federal tax liability. And this is the D.C. Code, an act established code of law for the District of Columbia in 1905. In 31 Stat 1432, it says the legal estate to be the Satanic use. Gee, that looks like this Tomlin's Law Dictionary definition where it says that Satanic use came from the Roman cult. This is Tomlin's Law Dictionary, 1835 edition, volume 2, under the definition of Mort Maine. These old law dictionaries, some of them, the pages aren't even numbered. Anyways, it says, yet still it was found difficult to set bounds to ecclesiastical ingenuity. Gee, that's the Roman cult, folks. For when they were driven out of all their former holds, they devised a new method of conveyance by which the lands were granted not to themselves directly, but the nominal fiefs to the use of the religious houses, thus distinguishing between the possession and the use, and receiving the actual profit while the season of the land remained in the nominal fief, who was held by the courts of equity, then under the direction of the clergy. That's the Roman cult, folks, and the courts of equity are still under the Roman cult, folks, with these bar members, to be bound in conscience to account to their Satanic use for the rents and emoluments of the estate. That's taxes, folks. And it is to these inventions that our practitioners are indebted for the introduction of uses and trusts, the foundation of modern conveyancing. Yeah, right. And this is codified at 15 U.S.C. section 44 under the definitions. Corporation shall be deemed to include any company, trust, so-called Massachusetts trust, or association, incorporated or unincorporated, which is organized to carry on business for its own profit or that of its members, and has shares of capital or capital stock or certificates of interest, and it lists the same definition, except it does not have shares of capital or capital stock or certificates of interest. And that's a Satanic trust that doesn't have shares of capital stock or certificates of interest. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting territory or other property belonging to the United States. Now, so think about this. Is the state of Texas required to follow federal regulations? How about the state of New Jersey or the state of Tennessee or the state of New York? Of course they are. They have payroll. They follow the federal code of federal regulations. So therefore they're territories. That corporation is a territory. And it's property of the United States too. Banks fall under international law. The military dictatorship is international law. The Uniform Commercial Code is international law. Actually, when it comes down to it, all codes, rules, and regulations are international law. Forced loans is probably the single most important thing for a military dictatorship. It makes it so the so-called courts presume that you do not pay a debt. It makes everybody into paupers. Paupers have no rights except what they allow you to have. It's exactly what it is, and they presume it. So now you're forced to prove that you're not. Gold is the money of kings. Silver is the money of gentlemen. Barter is the money of peasants. Debt is the money of slaves. The Federal Reserve was set up under the insurance laws of the United States. Federal Reserve notes are worthless insurance script. Anything purchased with worthless insurance script is the property of the insurer of the script. They don't want to let you find out about that, do they? Taxes are the fee for using the private money system. Taxes are the fee for discharging debt with limited liability. The single most important requirement for a Republican form of government is lawful money. That's why King George wanted to make sure the money manipulators stay in power, and that's why the tyrants always want to make sure the money manipulators stay in power. Lawful money is not Federal Reserve notes. Lawful money is not bank notes. Lawful money is not forced loans. Lawful money is not discharged debts. Lawful money is not international law. I do everything. If I challenge it, I do it outside. I do it by paper. I file bar complaints. That's the single most important thing you can do. Anytime you have an issue with anything, there's always a bar member behind it. Always. And then they drag you into their bar member courts. And the bar member on the bench sits there and lies to you. Don't get me going. You're going to get me going here. Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. Therefore, non-resistance to tyrants is obedience to Satan. Well said. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Engineer Win. Don't forget to follow me on Steam at Sovereignty International. I got to take this Twitter thing out of there because obviously Twitter has deleted my profile. Don't forget to like this video on YouTube. Don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. On Steam, don't forget to vote and make your comments. There's the front page of my channel. The subscribe button's already been clicked. The bell has not been clicked. The arrow is pointing at the bell. What is called proclaiming martial law is no law at all, but merely for the sake of public safety in circumstances of great emergency, setting aside all law and acting under military power. And that's 8 Attorney General's opinion, February 3rd, 1857. So think about it. That's exactly what goes on when you have martial laws. There's no law. That's why they have to pass be deceived. So they lie, they cheat, they steal, they do anything they can.
Live streaming is on.
I'm having trouble with this live stream for some reason. I think it's probably because there's some interference. Anyways, are you getting me? Are you guys getting me? It says no sound. Are you getting it now? Is it back? Give me a thumbs up or something if you can, please. Okay, good, good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up one presentation, one slide. I'm going to back up one slide. So, Attorney General's opinion, 8 Attorney General's opinion, February 3rd, 1857 says, what is called proclaiming martial law is no law at all, but merely for the sake of public safety in circumstances of great emergency, setting aside all law and acting under military power. That's what happens when you have martial law. That's why there's literally millions of codes, rules, and regulations, because there's no law at all. And so they have to make laws. And so common law offenses, that's why there's no common law. And remember in the causes and necessities for taking up arms, and said that it supersedes and replaces common law. That's why there's no common law. So you see these statutes that say that they're gonna, that all this legal jargon, these scumbag bar members. That's why it's all you do is file anytime, absolutely anytime you have any issues, file a grievance against the bar member. I don't care if he's a prosecutor. I don't care if he's filed grievances, bar grievances against judges. Bond, they can't practice law. So there's they shit. If we get in the habit of filing bar grievances, that'll rein them in. Anyways, I guess we'll see. Anyways, when you got martial law, it supersedes and replaces common law. So then that's why they have to pass millions and millions of codes and rules and regulations and and for common law offenses, and they conveniently forget to pass laws for a lot of common law offenses like barratry and shit like that for their bar member scum. Yeah, don't get me going. You're going to get me going here. Yeah, I think they're certainly messing with me today, that's for sure. We'll keep moving. We can't even begin to count the number of times judges, lawyers, and statesmen have said there isn't any common law anymore. It's been replaced by statutes. They would be more truthful if they said there isn't any common law anymore. It's been replaced by martial law. And that's that non-ratification of the 14th Amendment by Judge A.H. Ellett of the Utah Supreme Court in the case Dyett versus Turner. And I can't recommend enough people to get this document, because it's really a nice, easy read. It's only like 150 pages, and it's double spaced. So a wealth of information in there, a wealth of information. There's no common law offenses against the United States, only those acts which Congress has forbidden with penalties for disobedience of its command or crimes. Under Texas law, no act or omission is a crime unless made so by statute. The legislature may create an offense and in the same enactment provide exceptions to its application. So no common law in Texas, no common law in the federal jurisdiction. And so, once you understand that, you can still play their game. It's a lot more difficult. And they go in and enslave people and play their games. We, the people, need to wake up to what's going on. Under a military dictatorship, there's no law, which is why they're required to pass statutes for common law crimes like murder and assault. This creates civil law, which creates a democracy. Under a military dictatorship, you have a democracy, and a democracy is international law. A republic is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. We need to bring back our Jeffersonian republic is what we need to do. Jefferson had it brilliantly done. Negotiable instrument law is a subset of Roman law. Mortgages are Roman law. Roman law is international law. The Bar Treaty of 1947 falls under the United Nations. I have exclusive content available on my website and on Patreon. My website has 2 subscription levels, and I accept cryptocurrencies. The basic subscription level is $29.99 a year for the videos only, $49.99 a year for the videos plus unlimited consultations. But I'm not a liar. Well, I meant an attorney. No, a liar. But I can tell you what I would do and where to find the forms. The only power that these New World Order Satanists have over us is through fraud and deception, and my agenda is to expose it for all our benefit. But I cannot fight all the battles. I need other people knowing the issues, bringing up the right issues, doing the right things, and plus there's a lot of people that come up with great ideas that I don't think about. And so that's why I have my private groups at Yahoo and Google, or not at Yahoo, at Free Lists and Google, because it's a place where we can share information and network. And that's why I have this Northeast Private Information Share. Thank you very much for the people up here that have donated their beach house for us to do this here. And so it's a networking thing. And so we need to network and share our ideas because together we're much more than any one of us individually. So some of my exclusive content includes a Arlington Private Information Share, land deed training, estoppel certificates training, foreclosure estoppel certificates training, corporate denial training, toll roads notice and demand training, invoice training, notice of void judgment training, revocation of signature training, third-party witness training, federal habeas corpus training, revocation of voter registration, criminal complaint training, lawsuit training, other training. There's also Northeast Private Information Shares that are on the exclusive website. And these ones here are all going to be exclusive. They're not going to be public. Right now it's public, but next weekend they may not be. It depends on how many people show up. And once they're published, they're published as unlisted. And so you might be watching now, but if you don't keep the link, you won't be able to watch. You won't be able to watch it again, at least. Anyways, all forms, files, and other instructions are available for free, linked on my videos and on my website. All exclusive content will be available on my website, and you can buy a subscription there. They've been telling for people for decades that we're in a democracy. Do you think it's an accident? A republic is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. I am sick of YouTube and Google censorship. Over the next few months, I've been moving away from Google and YouTube. I've already dumped Chrome for Brave. I am moving my videos over to Library, and I've got some videos over at Rumble, although some of those other platforms are just not as user-friendly, you know what I mean? And YouTube actually took my channel down for about 15 minutes. I've got a YouTube video about it. And anyways, they went and sent me an email and said, we took your channel down, and if you have a comment, reply to this link. And so I sent back an email and I said, I'm going to sue your ass off. I said, I've been to the Supreme Court 5 times. so don't think I don't know what to do. All your executive officers and board of directors are personally liable in their private capacity. So bring it on. And 15 minutes later, my channel was back up. It's amazing how that works. Anyways, this is George III, Chapter 12, 1778, 2 years after the Declaration of Independence. Whereas taxation by the Parliament of Great Britain for the purpose of raising a revenue for His Majesty's colonies, provinces, and plantations in North America has been found by experience to occasion great uneasiness and disorders. No shit, Batman, that from and after the passing of this act, the King and Parliament of Great Britain will not impose any duty, tax, assessment, whatever payable on any of the colonies, provinces, or plantations in North America or the West Indies, except only such duties as it may be expedient to impose for the regulation of commerce. Well, now, what they did, that's why they gave Canada independence. So now the Canadian pigs and the Canadian Gestapo, the communists in Canada, just go ahead and do all of that stuff, and the Canadian people are too stupid to figure it out. Taxes caused the War of Independence. If they can tax you, then you're a slave. You're forced to work for them for nothing. Think about it. It's becoming more and more difficult to be free. A republic is the only form of government which not secretly or openly or at secret war with the rights of mankind. We need to file bar grievances. You know, I think that there's a good chance that we'll see the day that we get to see bar members swinging from light poles by their necks. All subjects over which the sovereign power of the state extends are objects of taxation, but those over which it does not extend are exempt from taxation. This proposition may be pronounced as self-evident. The sovereignty of the state extends to everything which exists by its authority or its permission. So this proposition may be pronounced as self-evident. It's obvious. A subject is a slave. Taxation is forced work for nothing. A tax is an impost, a tribute imposed on a subject. An excise, a tallage. In public law, taxation signifies the system for raising money for public purposes by compelling the payment by individuals of sums of money called taxes. Some general principles of taxation are said to be the subjects of every state ought to contribute to the support of the government as nearly as possible in proportion to their respective abilities. That is, in proportion to the revenue which they respectively enjoy under the protection of the state. In the observation or neglect of this maxim consists in what is called the equality or inequality of taxation. And this is taken from the Dictionary of English Law, Sweet and Maxwell, London, 1959. There are two ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by sword and the other is by debt. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Article 6, Clause 2. And so you can bring up the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. But I always do it by paper. I tell these bought and paid for whores, I have nothing but contempt for your so-called court in paper. I never go in there and do it because they'll find you in contempt and they'll put you in their hotel. I don't go in there anymore and I absolutely have to. A republic is the only form of government which is not eternally at open or secret war with the rights of mankind. We can have a benevolent dictator or a tyrant dictator. Obama was a textbook tyrant. Pelosi gets up and tells the House, we can't read this bill until after we approve it. Lindsey Williams said God intervened with the election. Obviously, He didn't intervene in the last election, did he? We, the people, are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who would pervert the Constitution. And that's coming from a bar member. When the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the losers. That's what the Satanists do. Racist, someone who wins an argument against a liberal. Tyranny is defined as that which is legal for the government but illegal for the citizenry. What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that there are people who preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. That's right. And that's in my nasty grams. If you want to learn about my nasty grams, that'll be next week, next weekend. We'll talk about that. The Constitution is not a document for the government to restrain the people. It's an instrument for the people to restrain the government. Today, it is the unborn child. Tomorrow, it's likely to be the elderly or those who are incurably ill. Who knows? But that a little later, it may be anyone who has political or moral views that do not fit into the distorted new order. Ain't that the truth? That's exactly what's coming. It's not murder. Jews aren't actually people. It's not murder. Babies aren't actually people. Child sacrifice in 1515, and now in 2015, it's got the same building. A nation of sheep will beget a government of wolves. If fascism ever comes to America, it will come in the name of liberalism. Well said, Ronald Reagan. That's why we got to get in the habit of just filing bar grievances. That's a place to start. At some point, it probably won't work anymore. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But right now, bar grievances, judicial complaints, the Supreme Court knows the law, and we can form our common law courts and bring indictments. That's another way we can do it. Okay, so there's lots of ways we can proceed peacefully. And but at the end of the day, we need to prepare for other alternatives, and which also includes we need to get out of these cities. I think that's my attitude. Is get away from the cities. All executive orders or regulations for property of the government and therefore a color of law. Color of law is something that looks like law but isn't. It's a felony to violate your rights under color of law. They can violate your rights as long as they can claim good faith. Tell them it's a felony and have witnesses. These people are Satanists. This is all coming from these bar member scum. America needs God. Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The New World Order will require that you worship government. That's going on in China right now with the Falun Gong. They're doing their organ harvesting programs. Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. The greatest tyrannies are always perpetrated in the name of the noblest causes. Ain't that the truth? The strongest reason for the people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is as a last resort to protect themselves against tyranny and government. Well said. Get unplugged. Get unplugged. We're in the final stages of a communist takeover, and it's being orchestrated by bar members. We need to be prepared for anything. Remote viewers and futurists have said that there's going to be a point in time when there are riots in every major city and a great nation will disappear in one day. The Bible says 1 hour. Then there will be wars between the states. Providence favors the prepared. Ever wondered why Antifa is so familiar? The Nazis hate individualism, and the communists hate individualism, and Antifa hates individualism. They're exactly the same as the communists and the Nazis. There's no difference between communism and socialism except the means of achieving the same ultimate end. Communism proposes to enslave men by force. Socialism proposes to enslave men by vote. It's merely the difference between murder and suicide. Ain't that the truth? It's the duty of the patriot to protect his country from its government. It's all about territorialism. For U.S. citizens, every state is a territory. They are still limited by Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, and Article 6, Clause 2. This is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square, as may by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all states, and it goes on to describe enclaves. Has to be purchased by the legislature, by the consent of the legislature. There has to be an act of the legislature. I can tell you, in Texas, there's Fort Hood, there's courts, there's all sorts of stuff, but there's no acts of the legislature authorizing that. I wonder how many other states are like that. Article 6, Clause 2. We already went through this. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made pursuant thereof, and all treaties shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. In other words, it doesn't matter what the states say, what their constitution says, what their laws say, if this is the supreme law of the land. Almost all judges, state and federal, are bar members. Bar members run every corporation directly or indirectly. 70 to 90% of Congress and every state legislature is bar members. Bar members directly control all legislation. All prosecutors are bar members. I went and had somebody contact me on Facebook, wanted to get some information about, it was a legislator in New Hampshire, and they wanted some information about passing a right to travel bill. And so I sent them all sorts of stuff. But they said that whatever bill that they prepare, it has to get reviewed by a bunch of lawyers. Anyways, these bar members are the ones that are responsible for all of this. And officers of the court have no immunity when violating a constitutional right, for they're deemed to know the law. Okay, so bar members are required to know the law. Bar Treaty of 1947. Resolved that the American Bar Association notes with approval of the further progress made within the structure and charter of the United Nations at the recent Inter-American Conference for the Maintenance of Continental Peace and Security held at Quintanilha in Brazil, in implementing the Act of Chapultepec, and strengthening further the spirit and friendly consultation, excuse me, of friendly consultations and of submission to law-governed procedures. The association hails a particular satisfaction the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance, signed at Rio de Janeiro on September 2nd by the representatives of 19 American republics as a concrete demonstration of what can be accomplished within the framework of the United Nations. See, this is all, the American Bar Association is a United Nations tool by nations which are willing to submit themselves to the rule of law. The association recommends this treaty to the consideration of the delegation of the United States in the General Assembly of the United Nations, and for united action in the exercise of inherent right of individual and collective defense, recognized by Article 51 of the Charter against aggression from any source anywhere within a continental American zone defined within the treaty. So that's taken from the Bar Treaty of 1947. And so the Bar Treaty, it's interesting to note that in 1947, New Jersey got a new constitution, and there's a lot of things that happened in a lot of states in 1947, and so about bar members, and so we need to start filing grievances against these bar members. That'll be a start. Um, There'll probably be some pushback at some point. We'll have to figure out what to do from there. Really, what we need to do is there's a lot of people that are concerned about the negative reactions to these vaccinations, about people that are vaccinated spreading things to other people. There's a lot of stuff. There's rumors, a lot of rumors, and I think the real solution is to we need to get places of refuge away from the cities. The cities are going to be turned into like demilitarized zones. I mean, if you're stuck in there, it's not going to be a good place. And so we need to be thinking about preparedness, and that's part of what I like to do too is preparedness. I've got land. That's part of what I do is absolute title to land. I buy land. I pay cash for it. Well, actually, gold or silver coin, which isn't cash. And so um, it's important to have a place to go. We're having trouble again. Are you, are you getting sound and picture? 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 Right, that's what I'm thinking. Are you getting? You're getting sound. You're getting it's coming in waves. It's coming off and on. Well, I bought land in West Texas and Arizona, and that's the cheapest that I could find. I don't want to have debt, so I pay cash. Yeah, I haven't moved the slide. I don't want to move the slide until I see that people are getting something. I haven't moved the slide. I don't want to move the slide until I see that it's coming through. Yeah. Guys, I'm back. See us through. Still waiting to see if anything comes through. Still waiting to see if anything comes through. Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Sound goes off and on.